Welcome back to the Cat Knit Podcast. My name is Grace and today is Tuesday, September 18th. How is September almost over? I mean, it's not almost over, but we're like halfway through at this point, or more than halfway through. Where has September gone? But that's exciting because that means that the holidays are coming and Christmas is coming and Christmas knitting needs to be done and hasn't gotten started yet. And now I'm just rambling about things that are not important in the intro. So let's get back on track. I do apologize. So this is a podcast about crafting and knitting and baking and books and cats, but most importantly knitting, because that is what I love to do the most. If you'd like to follow me on any of my social medias, there's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Ravelry. I am most active on Instagram, so if you'd like to go follow me over on there, you can see all the pictures that I post about things that I get up to during the week. In addition to that, links to the things that I will be talking about today will be in the show notes. If you are on my blog, everything will be down below, or if you are on YouTube, the link to my blog where you can find everything will also be down below in the down bar. What else? I always do this. I get going and I forget where I'm going, and I just don't know. I also work at a yarn store. It is called The Modern Skein in Montgomery, Texas. I will leave all the information to that in the show notes as well, so if you'd like to go check out the shop or maybe see what we have online in our online shop, that would be wonderful. I also am there, so if you would like to come and say hello, that would be wonderful. It's a great store, would recommend. Also getting text messages, but I am biased that the shop is the best because I work there. So yes, definitely go check that out. So I have a lot of knitting to share with you. I also have some, a plot twist, you could say, maybe, I don't know. I'm surprised at myself, but also not too surprised at myself, but we'll get into that in just a moment. So we have lots of that to share, or I have lots of that to share with you. I have a couple of fun little tidbits that are not necessarily really related to knitting, but somehow they kind of are connected. So that's fun. And yes, so if you would like to grab some knitting or something to drink, which is what I was supposed to say and was not thinking and said knitting, but if you'd like to grab something to craft upon, or knit upon, or crochet, or weave, or spin, or sew, or cross stitch, or whatever, or something to drink. I have tea, or something to snack upon. This is a very out of order way this week. I don't know why, but we're just gonna keep on going. If you'd like to go grab any of those things and come back and join me for some crafty chat. Very quickly, before I continue, everyone, it is very sad. We have 90-degree weather again this week, and it's very depressing. So it's very warm, and I don't like that it's warm because we got the taste of cooler weather and the rain, and it was just so amazing and delightfully autumnal, and now we're back up to 93, which I realize it could be much worse, so I shouldn't complain, but I am a little bummed that it's not like in the 80s. Low 80s. Supposedly it's going to cool down again soon because we're nearing the end of September, and that is sometimes when Houston starts cooling down a little bit at the beginning of October. So fingers crossed that we get some cooler weather and maybe some more rain, because that would be really amazing. Let's see, what else do I have to discuss with you before, because we always have to talk about the weather. If you're new here, I talk about the weather quite a lot because I am quite interested in it. But I do have a finished object to share with you, which is super exciting. I also have information, about the, I'm pointing at it because it's right over there on the piano. Fun fact, there's a keyboard over against that wall that you can't see. So it's been sitting there, the ends still need to be woven in. Pictures will be taken this evening, for sure. And so that is exciting. The pattern is now out. It is called Corbel or Corbel. I think it's Corbel. I don't know. but it is designed by Claire or Flossy Knits on Ravelry and Instagram. I will link that in the show notes, so if you want to go knit one of your own, I would highly recommend it. It is super wonderful, and I'm super excited to get some more wear out of it once it cools down, and I'm also looking forward to taking pictures, not because of the heat, so that'll be fun. I'm just not realizing that. Hopefully it'll cool down this evening, and then that'll be fine. But that is super wonderful. I would highly recommend knitting this pattern if you are looking for a cabled pullover, maybe a first cabled sweater. I think that would be pretty good. It's pretty simple, it's very easy, it's very well written, and I would definitely recommend if you're looking for a cabled sweater, and if you're new to that, I think it would be a good way to introduce yourself into that realm, because it is quite wonderful, and I do love a good cabled sweater. I have some other works in progress to share with you, and then I also have some new test knit information. And you guys, I do remember that last week I was like, or the past several weeks, I've been like, once I'm done with test knits, I'm done for a while. This is just, I need to take a break. But no. This happened in the span of 1 week, and I put my name in for 2 test knits. One of them I don't know if I've gotten yet, so I'm just gonna like let it sit, and if I get it, I get it, and if not, that's totally fine. But this other test knit, which is very exciting, and I'm going to show it to you. Should we do finished objects first? I don't know. Let's do finished objects first. So I will show you this test knit in just a moment and who designed it. But before that, let's have a celebration for an old test knit. Or not an old test knit, an old finished object, old project that's been on the needles for quite some time. Everyone, this is called Sucker Punch by Jess Knowles. I got her name wrong last week. I thought her name was Alex. It's not. It's Jess. So I do apologize, but it is called Sucker Punch, and it is a colorwork cowl where I have some ends that still need to be tucked in. It also needs to be blocked. If you watched last week's episode, you do the colorwork in the round, and then you knit flat, plain for another good amount of inches, and then you use the Kitchener stitch and you connect them together. I, for some reason, when I got to the part where I was supposed to do the Kitchener stitch, completely, did not even think about how it was supposed to be constructed and did it totally wrong, so I had to undo the entire circumference of Kitchener stitch and then had to redo it. Also then pick up all the stitches of both sides and then redo it. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but it's finished now and I really love it. So you can turn it inside out and have a simple cowl like that, and I'm also getting ready to sneeze. Excuse me. You can have it turned inside out and just have these little pops of color along the side, and then when you wear it, ta-da! The party is on the inside with the plain on the outside, or you can do it the other way around and do it like that. Or you could totally switch it up and have half and half, but then you can see my terrible job of Kitchener stitch. So I'm probably not going to be doing that, but you can. You totally can do that, so it's half and half, but I'm super happy with it. It is so thick and fuzzy. I'm going to wear double knitwear, but this is clearly a very good look. I think I should do the rest of the podcast like this. So I finished this, and I very promptly started taking funny Snapchats like this, and I was sending them to various family members and various friends, knitter friends, and it was very entertaining. This is it's thick enough that it will stand up by itself. If you live in a cold climate and you are worried about having your ears protected, this is I think with the colorwork, I would consider the colorwork 2 layers, and then we have the 3rd layer of the this guy. So it's technically what I would call 3 layers. It's not technically 3 layers, but I would consider that the thickness is of 3 layers. And so it keeps you very warm. I'm getting very hot because it is very warm in this room, unfortunately. But it's just so much fun. And I really just like how it looks. I think it's very graphic, and I'm sorry I'm looking at myself in the camera, but I'm just I really like how it's showing up on camera. It's just very graphic, and it's a good statement piece. So if you have like a plain winter coat and you're looking for something to spice it up and you can wear it with that, I would highly recommend using this. We also, Sam acknowledged that I could wear it as a hat as well. This is also a good look. This is not what it's supposed to be, but it can work. So this was a really fun knit, and now I have hair or fuzz all in my mouth. The main color, or the taupey color, is Cascade Eco Wool, left over from my 8/8 cardigan from forever ago. And then this is just a random skein of Noro Curion that I had laying around. I would, if you're looking for something to do with your balls of Noro that you have no idea to use, you know what to do with. Words. If you have no idea what to do with your Noro that you have laying around, do stuff like this, because it is so much fun and it creates such a beautiful result. I would highly recommend doing that. So yes, it still needs to be blocked, and I'm hoping that it grows a tiny bit, maybe a little bit more wide this way. That being said, if it doesn't, I will not be brokenhearted. It will not be the end of the world. So I just think it's super wonderful, and I would highly recommend, if you have never done color work, this is a good pattern to start with. If you have never done the Kitchener stitch, this is also a good pattern to start with. If you have done both of those things and are just looking for a really fun cowl, I would recommend it for sure. So I will link that in the show notes, obviously, because that's important, and you guys can go make one for yourselves. So another thing this week that I've made a lot of progress on is my Chrysalis shawl by Lavanya Patricella, one of those two. And all the balls of yarn are tangled down in my bag, so I'm going to show you what they look like in the project. I do apologize, it's just quite a tangled mess at the moment. This is going to be a shop sample at the Modern Skein when I am done with it, so if you want to see this glorious ball of fluff in person, I would highly recommend going to the store at some point. I am very close to being done. These rows are insanely long, so it does take a very long time, but I am near the end. The end is in sight. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. That is not to say that this has been an unpleasant knit. This has been super fun. Look how amazing that looks. And there's the other side. Ta-da. Ta-da. It's a very odd shape. I really don't know what it's going to look like, to be honest with you, when I'm going to be done with it. And I have no idea what it's going to be. Really? Because it's just a very odd shape. And it's just continuing to grow and increase and decrease in places that you wouldn't normally increase or decrease for a normal shawl. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just throwing my mind for a loop a little bit, and I'm trying to figure out what it looks like or what it's gonna look like, or explain to people what this shape is going to be like, I don't really know. So that's really kind of fun. It's almost like a mystery. Like, I've seen what they look like then, but I've seen such many different variations, one that have been very intensely blocked, ones that haven't been blocked very much. I don't know. It's just, it's complicated and confusing, but in not a bad way. So I'm not complaining. But anyway, so I'm using Ching Fibers. This This minty green color here is called Rosemary. It is in the Melted Baby Surrey base, which we currently, the Modern Skein does not currently have, but we will be getting in the end of October, November, I think. That is super exciting. I cannot wait because it's just so soft, and I want everyone to be able to experience how much fun knitting with this is. This second color, the black with all the fun pops of color, that is also the Ching sock base, and it's called Panda. So that's really fun. And then I started fading in another Melted Baby Surrey color, and it's hard to point out quite exactly what it is because we're fading it in, but it's easier to see it on the brioche, I think. So it's very similar to Rosemary. It's kind of the same base, but there's more pops of like blue, and there's the pink, and there's yellow in there. And this is called Shibuya, if I remember correctly. So I am fading that in until I'm done with the Rosemary, and then it will just be the Shibuya with the Panda to create this beautifully fluffy shawl that is just so gorgeous and squishy, and I am just having such a fun time knitting on it. Fun fact, I had not knit with Luca, I think, I have no idea how they're pronounced. It's the Lykke needles. I've heard them pronounced many different ways from people who do speak that language, and I don't know. So, this is what they are. They are birch or driftwood or something like that. They're really wonderful. I am very late to the game with knitting with these, and I am deeply in love with these knitting needles. They are quite amazing. The tips are nice and sharp, but not too sharp. I really like the cord. For a wooden knitting needle, these are pretty amazing. So I think that maybe one of the Luca interchangeable needle sets might be on my Christmas list this year, which I think would be super fun. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but that would be super cool, and I would so love that. We do have these. We have a couple of the sets in the store, so if you're interested in those, you should definitely check out the website, or come to the store yourself and you can see it in person. So I'm really enjoying this just because two of these yarns are super fuzzy and I have 3 yarns connected at once. It is kind of a tangled mess, but that is no fault of the pattern. It is literally me just not keeping track of my yarn, because I'm not very good at that when it comes to having thousands of balls attached. And by thousands I mean only 3. So yeah, I'm really enjoying working on this. This is kind of my, I don't know, it's kind of like, it's definitely interesting, but it's not something that I can't, it's something I don't necessarily have to pay attention to like 100%. Like, I can definitely converse and chat with other people while I work on it, and there's a lot of, once I get going on a row, I'm good for the whole row. And since the rows are so long right now, I'm good. That means I'm good for a while. So that's pretty handy. I can work on it very easily when there are customers in the store. And yeah, I am getting close to starting section 4. And I think there's 4 sections and maybe an end section. So I'm so close to finishing this. I am super excited. I cannot wait to wear this. I think it'll be amazing, and oh, it's just so fluffy. I just love this Melted Baby Surrey so much. It's just so squishy. I love it. I love it. I love it. Next on my needles, I showed this to you guys last week. This is the Authenticity Shawl by Sylvia McFadden, or Soft Sweater on Instagram and Ravelry. This is what it looks like, showing you a picture from the pattern, but obviously not showing you the pattern. So that's super wonderful. You guys, I'm almost done. I literally have like 4 rows left. I'm so excited. That being said, I am Please don't say, am I in the middle of a row? Ah, dang it, I'm in the middle of a row. Why did I do that? That was very bad planning of me. Dang it. Okay, well, we're going to knit really quickly so I can show this to you, because you can't see the full effect of it unless it's not in the middle of the row. I feel like I have more yarn than, the pattern just fell off the table. That's what that was. So I got the 600 yards that it calls for. My yarn is from Bluebell Alpaca Ranch. There's another word in there. I don't remember. I tried. It's Bluebonnet something Alpaca Ranch. I do know that. This is one of their yarns that they have that has the colorful thrums in it. So that's super cool. I'm really enjoying knitting with this. So yeah, I got 3 skeins of it to get the 600 yards that the pattern required. I am, like I said, I'm about 4 rows away from finishing this garter edge, and I still have more than maybe 3/4 of the last ball left. So I might make the border bigger. I'm not sure. We're gonna finish this row and then we're gonna show it to you because on one hand I really want to like finish this. On the other hand, I don't know, besides like throwing it into a colorwork sweater or something like that, I don't really know what I would do with 3/4 a skein of this particular yarn, because I mean I've already made a neck object, so making a cowl seems kind of redundant. It's too floppy for a hat, I think. Gloves won't work. I'm making a shawl, obviously. So I could just save it and throw it into a colorwork sweater at some point, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of those in my future that this would work perfectly for. So I might do that. We'll see when I finish this row and we hold it up. You guys can see how big it is. It's pretty big. I do like the size of it, but I don't think I would mind it if it was bigger, because you can never have too many big shawls. The designer Sylvia, she actually published a pattern yesterday on Monday, and on her Instagram she had a code so you could download it for free. It's called Fox Wedding. I'm not sure, probably by the time you watch this I think it will be done. I think the code will not work anymore, but I would highly recommend going and checking it out, because it takes 300 and maybe 30 yards of a bulky yarn, and it's knit on size 11s, and it looks like it'll be super quick, and I'm definitely going to make it once I have time, because I just love her patterns and I want to make all of them, and I have stash yarn and I just really want to make it. So I got it. And so yeah, whenever I get the chance to cast it on, that'll be happening. I have the yarn all ready to go. I was looking at it last night when I was preparing for this new test knit that I'm going to show you when I'm done talking about this. I do apologize for this row taking so long, but I was digging through my stash, and so I was able to find something. Little did I know that there was going to be this shawl coming out, so that was very exciting. Okay, we're almost to the end. Gotta make the increase, pass the stitch marker over, increase, boop, border. Okay, so close everybody. 3 stitches left. Wah! I do apologize. So this is my authenticity shawl, and I realize that doesn't look like anything, it just looks like a blob. So it's a lace shawl. It's very large. There you can kind of see the lace pattern. it was very fun, very easy to knit. If you are new to charts, it's only charted, so that's, if you only do written work, that's a problem, but it's a really good way to get better working in charts. And then here's the garter stitch border. This is a very odd way to show you what this looks like. So it's very large, clearly, and it's all bunched up on the needle, so it's even larger than it looks. So I don't know. Let me see if how can I show this to you guys? Okay, so here we have, that's what it looks like on the end. It is pretty big. I did all the repeats, or I have four more rows, like I said, I think, to add on. And then I will be done with what the pattern calls for. Actually, that's not true. I did an extra lace repeat. So she did 5, I believe, and then I was looking at project pages, and a lot of people said that they wanted to add a 6th one because they could and they wanted it to be bigger. So I just went ahead and did a 6th one because I knew I would have plenty of yarn. And so this is what I have currently left of my 3rd and final skein of yarn. It's so pretty and woolly, and it smells so good, and it's so alpaca-y, and I love it. And it has good memories. And it's just so nice. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I do want to finish it though, because I'm currently on like this hardcore finishing kick, which is really great. So I will hopefully get that done maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, depending on if I add more to it or not. So that is very exciting, which leads me to my next thing, everybody. But first, let's take a little tea break. Like I said, I was very much not against doing more test knitting, but I was like bound and determined to take a break. And then very cute things got published, and people were asking for testers, and so I was like, well, okay, I think I need to do that because that's just too cute. And I have the stash yarn, like I knew it in my mind. I wasn't near it, but I knew that I had the stash yarn, and so I was like, this is more reason, an excuse to get rid of the yarn that I have. It'll be great. I can do really fun stuff with it, and it'll be wonderful. And so I did get this current one that I'm about to show you. So this is going to be a sweater. It is designed by Lindsay, who is behind Bundle Handmade. I will show you her Instagram picture that she posted. So this is her in this cardigan that we are test knitting. It's just a very simple ribbed cardigan, and I am in love with it, everybody. So cute. Also, I love her Instagram. I've been following her for a really long time, and I love all the stuff that she makes. I would highly, highly recommend going and seeing the stuff that she designs, and like her pins and her progress creepers and all that kind of stuff. They are wonderful. And yes, she just makes some really, really great stuff, and now I'm getting distracted. So I'm making the sweater, and I am using Cascade Eco Wool. This is going to be my main color, in like a spicy, pumpkin-y color, cinnamon-y color. This is not my main skein. This was a little bit from something. If you have been watching the podcast for a very, very, very long time, back when we lived in Dallas, I was working on the Cinnamon Girl cardigan by Amy Christophers, and it was just not working, and I tried to make it work, and I'm sure it was no fault of the pattern, it was just me, so I frogged it, and so I have a poop ton of this yarn. I don't have quite enough for the size that I'm going to be making, so everybody, because we all know that I have a dear place in my heart for Cascade Eagle. Well, I'm going to stripe it. I'm not going to stripe all of it. We have the big contrast. I think this is almost a full skein. This is left over from my Veronica cardigan by Shannon Cook, which I have been wearing so much recently because it's been so cool, except for today, so I haven't been wearing it today. But I've been wearing my Veronica cardigan so much, and I love it. I love it. It's so squishy, and it's like the perfect thing to cuddle up in on the couch. And it's just so pretty. Anyway, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the test knit. So these are the two colors I'll be striping. I don't really know how I'm going to be striping it, so I'm just kind of going along and see what the yarn creative juices are telling me to do. This is all what I have so far. So much progress! So I literally cast this on last night, and I am going to be knitting on this until I have a certain amount. It's bottom up. There is very little shaping or anything, so I think it will be a really good cardigan for beginners. I am super excited to be able to test knit this. I was very grateful to be given the opportunity, so Lindsay, if you're watching, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really love how these colors are playing together. I had, for whatever reason, I had such a hard time picking out something to go with this. I have two skeins of the, actually I have it over here. One moment. I have 2 skeins of this, which I believe is like the Shire colorway or something like this, but this has had a place in my heart for a Carbeth by Kate Davies, and it's just like, this has to be a Carbeth. And I also couldn't figure out what I wanted to stripe with this. And also I wasn't, that could have been good, but I like the dark chocolatey brown with this. And plus, I don't know why I have so much of this, and maybe I might have enough. I have this massive ball that I hand wound, and I think it might be 2 skeins together, maybe. And then I have another one that is not wound. I don't know where I got so much of this, but I have a lot of it. But I'm really excited to stripe it because I think it'll really add some of me to it, which, I mean, it's not my pattern, it's Lindsay's pattern, but I think this will make this really fun, and I'm super excited about it. So there is a deadline, obviously, which is gonna lead me to another story that I'm gonna tell you in just a moment, but I don't know, something about deadlines really makes you do things. Clearly, that is a very obvious statement because you have to get things done by a deadline, but, and you guys are probably like, that was super obvious. Of course, deadlines make you do things by certain times, because that's what deadlines, like, that's literally the definition of a deadline. I was talking to my mom this past week while I was trying to figure out if I should put my name in for these 2 test knits, and we were laughing about the fact that I was just test knitting a lot, and I jokingly said that I must have had a problem, or I must have a problem about test knitting because something, I said no and then I like said yes to 2 other things. And she said that she had heard from somewhere, and now I'm forgetting where she heard this from. I think it might have been something like an article maybe she read, or maybe some kind of interview or something that she heard. It was an interview of Duke Ellington, I think he was like a jazz musician a long time ago. Either the saxophone or the trumpet, if I remember correctly. But anyway, so someone asked how he got so much stuff done, and his response was, it's all about the deadlines, baby. Which makes total sense, because for some reason, we are just so much more productive when we actually have something to work towards, aka a deadline. And so I feel like, for me, and granted, that's not true for everybody, but that, for me anyway, and for Duke Ellington apparently, it it puts the pressure on you to get something done, obviously. And whether that's good pressure or bad pressure, that can be debated. But, so, because obviously I had the 2 other test knits that I did earlier in the past couple of months. They had deadlines, I got them done. And if I hadn't had a deadline on either of them, I probably would still be working on them. And so I think that's like, I don't know if I should put deadlines on myself and put that on other projects that I have, because I know that on one hand I could get very overwhelmed and then feel bad about not meeting these deadlines, but on the other hand I could try and make them like broad enough so they would be easy to meet but not hard deadlines, if that makes sense. So I don't know. We thought this was a very fun quote, that it was just about getting stuff done and how that can really like motivate you to power through and know that you have to get it done and know that you have to meet your deadline, and how that can be very helpful in a lot of things, whether it be music stuff or whether it be knitting or writing or baking or life. It can be applied to anything, really. So I don't know. I think that's something I'm going to look into maybe today and tomorrow, and just this coming week, of setting up deadlines for myself, and maybe I can implement that with my Christmas knitting. I think that might be good. We're also going to see how the test knitting works with Christmas knitting, because that's also something that I need to do, and also something that I need to continue to plan. I've done most of the work. I have a little bit more work left to do in regards to planning and yarn choices and such. But once I get that done, I think I might try and implement the deadline thing on myself. I probably won't be too happy with myself in the moment, but I know in the end it'll probably be really good, it'll build character, and hopefully I will get a lot of knitting done. So we can thank Duke Ellington for this very inspirational quote about how it's just all about the deadlines, and that is just something very interesting to think about, especially in regards to your knitting, and if you have a problem with not getting as much done as you would like, or you just have 5,000 things cast on and you can never seem to get things done, like me. That would be me. So as I work through that, I will definitely let you guys know how that works out for me. I'm sure I will let you guys know updates and all that jazz and how it's going to be working. So fun things in the future. Moving on to book discussion, I have a lot of books that I've been listening to and reading to on my computer through the library. So I have like the books that I showed you in the past couple weeks, like the Red String, and there was another one that I forget what it was. But I have like actual copies of books that I haven't gotten to read yet, but which is kind of a bummer, but I have these other books from the library that have due dates. Again, with due dates, that's a thing. Is this a trend? So I haven't gotten a chance to read this yet, but my mom gifted it to me. She read it and she really enjoyed it, and she thought that me, being a book lover that I am, would also really enjoy it. So it's called I'd Rather Be Reading: The Delights and Dilemmas of the Reading Life by Anne Bogle, who is the author of a blog that my mom also enjoys reading, and one that I have not read in a while but also enjoy, which is called The Modern Mrs. Darcy. Basically what it is it's a book about just kind of discussing and going into why we like certain books that are like meaningful to you, books that you read when you were a child that have like played or like had a really big impact on you. And then in flipping through here, I also saw a chapter of how to organize your books, and just a lot of really fun stuff, which just sounds like right up my alley, because books really do play a very special part in my life, and they have a special place in my heart. And there are lots of books that I remember reading when I was younger that I still think about and I still like they're still very meaningful to me. So if you are that person, if you have books that are very meaningful to you, if you like reading, I would highly recommend this. I haven't read it yet, but I know that it's going to be really good, and so this is what it is. If you want to go check it out. I don't know where my mom got this, but maybe it's on Amazon. If it is, I'll link it in the show notes, but I would highly recommend it. It is very good. According to her little bio on the back, she also has a podcast entitled What Should I Read Next, which also sounds very good, and I didn't realize that. So I think she also has book lists in here as well. If I remember correctly, my mom said that she listed the books that she liked and just books that are mentioned in the book. So I think that's super cool. I'm really excited to read this. Again, this is like a physical copy book that I haven't had time to read yet, but also my mom literally just gave this to me. So I'm very excited about this because books are a huge part of my life. I feel like they're second to knitting in regards to the hobby sector of my life. So yeah, I'm very excited about this, and I will let you know what I think of it. And again, thank you, Mama, for giving me this. I really appreciate it. So yay. So that was books. The other things that I've been listening to and reading to, they really have been kind of, I don't know if it's I've just been not paying attention, excuse me, let's start over. I haven't been paying as much attention as I should in order to get into a story or the stories that I'm reading / listening to, because none of them are really like, they're so good. I think that's probably a me problem. I don't think it's a book problem. So that's kind of a bummer. I just feel kind of a little lost in my book journey currently, but I do have a lot of really good stuff lined up. I literally just got another book in a series by Alison Weir. It's a book about Jane Seymour, and the series is of Henry VIII's wives, and so I've read Catherine of Aragon and Anne Boleyn, and now I'm reading Jane Seymour. I think she comes next. Yes, because it's book 3. So yeah, I'm very excited about that. I have another book that I need to finish first before I can start that. So what do you do? What do you do? But I'm very, very much looking forward to the Jane Seymour book because I do really enjoy Alison Weir's writing. I think she does a really good job with historical fiction. So looking forward to that. In regards to baking, not a whole lot of baking has been done. I made the apple toffee blondie bars or whatever, and they were really good. I feel like they were probably too rich for my liking. The icing is super, super rich. They're delicious, don't get me wrong, but it's just a lot. That's not to say that you shouldn't make them, because they were amazing. They are highly amazing. We still have some left over. They are very good, but it's just a lot of sugar and a lot of sweet. And if I'm gonna eat apples, I probably would prefer it to be in a pie or a crumble or something like that. So, but that's just me. That's just my personal preference. I am going to be making it's called autumn bread, which I have made many times before. This will not be my first autumn bread rodeo. So that is very exciting. It has bananas, walnuts, carrots, and zucchini, so it's kind of healthy, you could say. I happen to have some bananas that were going ripe, and so I just thought that I would make some of that because it's very autumnal and it's very delicious, and so that's very exciting. I know that's a great recipe, so I'll include that in the show notes for you to try out if you would like. I would highly recommend it if you have bananas going bad soon. Definitely would recommend. So we talked about knitting, test knitting, finish objects, books, baking. Is that it? I think that's it. I think that's all that I have to talk about. I don't really remember. Can't think of anything else. So, It's very official over here. We're very organized. So if you would like to see any of the things that I've talked about, whether it be autumn bread, or read certain books, or go make yourself a Sucker Punch cowl by Jess Knowles, because I think everyone should have one of those. It's such a good staple. It's so much fun. It's a blast. Would recommend, like I said before. If you want to make one of those, all the links to those things will be in the show notes. If you were on my blog, everything will be down below, or if you are on YouTube, the link to my blog will be down below in the down bar. If you would like to follow me on any of my social medias, there's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Ravelry. I am most active on Instagram. Go follow me over there. I would love to see your stuff as well. I would love to comment and interact, because that is always fun. And you can see what I'm knitting on a more regular basis instead of once a week, and yes, so that's cool. I don't think there's anything else really to say. I have a lot of plans for the future, knitting wise. There's just so many things I have yarn for. I feel like I was thinking about this recently, and I know that I was just starting to end the episode, and now we're going to go on a tangent, so I do apologize very quickly. I think if I get any more yarn that's not for Christmas presents, I will probably feel very bad. Just because I have gotten a fair amount this year, especially in the past couple of months, and I have not been able to knit any of it. I've been able to knit some of it, but not all of it. Definitely not all of it. Not even close. And so I was wondering if maybe, in addition to putting the deadline thing on myself, if I could also somehow go on a yarn diet until Christmas. And that doesn't include the advent calendar that my mom and I got of yarn, because that doesn't count. I don't know, part of me, like, I really like that idea, but also part of me is kind of scared. I don't know why I'm kind of scared, but part of me is like, oh, that's like really a big commitment. Can you make that commitment? I don't know. Can I? I don't know. I don't know, maybe it will just really force me to, like, focus on the things that I have. Project-wise, if I'm wanting to make something, go to the stash first. Like, don't even think about, like, getting other stuff. And if I don't happen to have the stuff, then go find another pattern. Because that's usually my issue. I'll find something, and I know that, like, I have the stash, and then I'll do some research for other yarn that I could get and buy for it, and then, like, that'll work, and then I'll go think about my stash some more, and, like, none of it will work, so it's like, oh, well, I already found this other stuff that will work, so I'll just go ahead and buy it. If I just completely ignore the buying thing, because I don't have to make every single pattern work, I don't need to make every single pattern, even though I may want to. Just trying to put all these restrictions on my knitting self to decrease the stash, decrease my whips. That was one of my knitting goals this year, and that I don't think I've done that very well. I have knit from my stash more than I have the past several years, and I think that's really wonderful. I'm very proud of myself in that regard. So I don't know, I think I just need to, I really need to focus on the projects that I have going currently. I think that's my problem. Gotta set those deadlines. Yes. So unless something truly amazing comes up, something truly amazing, I will try not to get yarn for anything. And maybe part of me, the part of me that's scared about saying this, like, I've thought this, but this is the first time I've said it, and that's also kind of like, ooh, ah. And I'm also saying this to a camera that's gonna go on the internet, which will be forever. So everyone who watches this will know that I've said this, and somehow I feel just so much more like accountable. People will know I have to actually do it. It's not like I can just whisper it to myself and, oh, it'll be okay. I don't know if any of that made sense, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. It seems just so much more real when I say it to a camera that's going onto the internet. People are going to watch it. People will know. I don't know. You just got to think about that. I will let you know about that next week, probably. In addition to the deadline thing. So yes. Unless it's Christmas yarn or if it's a gift, I will try not to buy yarn. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to make exceptions for. I can't think of anything. So, but we'll work on that. We'll come back to that next week and we'll see how that is. Are you guys on yarn diets? Have you been on yarn diets before? I don't think I've ever been on a yarn diet, and maybe that's also partly why it's scary. I feel I just don't want to restrain my creative juices. But on the other hand, if you think about it, if I do restrain myself from getting, or if I do restrict myself from getting yarn, it kind of forces me to be more creative. Just having these thoughts as we're sitting here, so bear with me a moment. If I do not just opt for new yarn because I know it will work, if I am forced to come to my stash, any of the stash that is around me, and try and figure something out, I feel like that makes me so much more creative. So because I'm trying to, I have more perimeters that I need to meet, be within, whatever. And it's so easy just to go and get new stuff. Though that's fun, I feel like for me that would be a very good creative exercise. And obviously everyone's different, everyone works differently. Not everybody has a massive stash. Some people are really good about buying yarn, knitting it, buying yarn, knitting it. I am not that person. And that's okay, that's totally fine. But I do want to try and work on those skills and maybe be able to decrease the projects that are out in the living room, and just be more intentional and creative with what I knit. Maybe. Is that what I'm trying to say? I don't know. This has been very rambly, and I know I said that while I was trying to close out the episode, so I do apologize. But just stuff to think about for maybe next week to have a nice discussion. And yes, we'll see where that goes. So anyway, back to closing out the episode. I do apologize for that again and again. If you have crafty plans this week, I hope that they are successful. Like I said, I have lots of crafty plans, and I have just lots of crafty plans to make my crafty plans more successful and more organized. Those deadlines. Gotta have those deadlines. So that's very exciting. If you have had I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and I hope you continue to have a wonderful week with crafty plans. I said that out of order. I'm looking forward to this test knit. I think it'll go very quickly, so that's really wonderful. I think it'll be a good reading and knitting project, so that is always wonderful. Oh, if you want to remember last week, if you want, very quickly, again, I do apologize for these tangents. If you watched last week's episode, at the very end, I spotted a spider above the window. I finished recording and the spider had disappeared, everybody. I didn't know where it had gone. I still don't know where it is. I hope it's dead somewhere because it's a little concerning. I don't know where it is. I don't know where it was. Thankfully, I was able to forget about it until now. So now you know, spider update. It was missing and still missing. It's only slightly concerning. So I guess that is all that I have for you guys this week. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!